Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the I'll Try That podcast. This week we're going to be talking about the UK's most popular beer, Carling. But first, I've got a bit of a quiz for you boys.
Ooh.
We are on the path to becoming Cicerone certified, aren't we lads?
That's
Yeah.
Yes, we are. We're gonna nail it.
Well, that's the plan.
Now, for first pop quiz question, can you inform the listeners who may not know what a Cicerone is?
It's the equivalent of a beer sommelier, right?
He knows.
I've been boning up.
The Cicerone course, or the Cicerone certification program, is up to, there's like 4 levels, and we are going to undertake our first, we love beer, we've always enjoyed beer, we love talking about beer, we love tasting beer, but, sometimes we just feel like maybe our language and maybe that deeper, those words that you want to have at the top of your brain, rather than what I'm doing right now, which is just going on and on and on. You want to have it at the forefront of your brain. And so that first level of the Cicerone certification, we're going to start off slowly. We'll become a certified beer server. And what that will give you is the fundamental understanding of everything to do with serving beer. That's which also includes talking about taste, color, styles of beer, where beer comes from, etc., etc.
So does that mean we can sound like one of those fancy people in the craft beer bars who was spouting off all this stuff about all the different bits and bobs and what's infused with what and what's going where? We're going to sound like them.
If I'm honest, it won't be. I think people who work in those bars do themselves they have their own language. The beer server certification certainly gives you a bit of an understanding about how you can describe like a brown beer as nutty, toffee, chocolate, dried and dark fruit, as a malty, grainy thing. But these are all things that most people will be quite familiar with. I think some people in the craft beer world probably go, and take it on a very different, build on that as much as they can. But it's similar to like the wine sommelier world. Words are there to be descriptive for people to understand. Now, if you're using words that people don't understand, you're probably failing at the first hurdle.
You're saying, so me just describing every beer I come across as pokey or not pokey is those days are going to be over. We're going to be able to describe things as we're going to have a whole new vocabulary.
I'm hoping that will be the case. Yeah. And going back to your point, Drabbers, of, we're going to know everything about how to do with beer. I will clarify that this first level, on the section that talks about pairing beer with food, it says that candidates at this level should understand that beer and food work well together, but do not need to possess knowledge of specific beer and food interactions.
It's also a little bit unfair because Rich, as we've documented a few times recently, is already a beer expert. So he's going to fly through this.
Yeah, I'm pretty much going to ace it. I might as well go to the hardest level.
I know, I can't wait for it. It's the exam that we're building up to and we're swatting for is a 60 question multiple choice exam. So we will share our findings and our scores on the doors when we get there. I'm sure we'll hope to take them around the same time, but maybe a bit scattered to with diaries and things. But anyway, I digress. Let's jump into a bit of the content about this, because what I thought I would do, I've got the syllabus up for the UK beer server certification. So these are all the things that we're going to have to know in order to take and sit this exam. So what I thought I'd do is I'd give you guys a couple of different questions that you have the opportunity to answer from.
Yes, Mr. Druitt. Sir, Rich is winding me up, sir. Drabwell's teasing me.
Fingers on lips.
Hands on heads.
So first question to Matthew Barber.
Yes, sir.
What percentage of the weight of beer does water make up?
Ooh. Is it multiple choice? Or have I got to get it?
Yeah, I will give you multiple choice.
I mean, off the bat, I was going to say about 80.
Is it A, 80%? Is it B, 75%? Or is it C, 90%?
Ooh.
I'm going to change my answer. Oh, no. I'm going to change my answer. And I'm going to go up. I'm going to say it's actually 90. Hang on. Yeah, no. Yeah, why not? You only live once. 90%. Why not?
Is that your final answer?
My final answer, Chris. Joe.
Matthew Barber. That is correct.
Yeah!
Water makes up 90% of the weight of beer.
I'm on your tail, Travers. I'm a beer expert too now.
1 point. Okay, 1 point to Gryffindor.
How's he Gryffindor? He's definitely Hufflepuff.
Okay, he is Hufflepuff then.
Definitely a Gryffindor. Don't know. I don't like Harry Potter.
Okay, Travers.
Yeah.
What does the acronym CAMRA stand for?
Oh, I know this one.
Can I have some choices?
Yes.
No, he's got to just know that one.
No. He gets 3 choices. Does CAMRA stand for?
You've got to figure them out now.
I know. I set myself up for this one, haven't I? Does CAMRA stand for cute food reading about?
Well, I'm glad you're not hosting Countdown.
That was rubbish. Okay. Callous. No, I can't give you options. Come on, that's too easy. You should know this one.
I don't know it. This.
Yeah, if you say the right one, it's going to be obvious. Is it the Chartered Accountants and Management in Retail Association?
I'll give you a hint.
I know it isn't.
I'll tell you what. I'll give him a hint. Okay. I'm talking. This CAMRA is spelled CAMRA.
Yeah.
CAM is all part of the same word.
I think we even maybe talked about it after a session when we'd had a couple of beers.
I know we've talked about CAMRA and I've been to CAMRA events.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you should definitely know then.
What is a synonym for beer that could synonym for beer that could
I'm not ready for this.
Be the last that could be the last.
He gives
letter.
up, Joe. He gives up. It's 1-0 to me.
Okay. I'll have to take your answer in 5 seconds. 5.
I haven't got 4, it, boys. I haven't
3,
got it.
2, 1. Okay.
Oh, sir.
Right. Matthew Barber with your chance to steal.
Absolute nerd.
Thank you, Chris. I believe it's the campaign for real ale.
That is correct. Barber, so you're 2-0 up. Okay, so I'm going to give you a bit of a curveball here. I need you to name 2 parts of a cask.
Ooh.
These are, and I'll give you a bit more context because that could be a bit broad. These are specific parts. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 elements of a cask that you need to know the name of that could be serviced.
Oh man, that's really hard. I'm not going to get either of these. There'll be like something really weird.
There's 6 in total. I just need you to name me 2 of them.
It's like the fore and the aft and like the sail and the boom or something like that.
That's it. It's the components that make up the thing.
You're just naming boat parts there.
No, I'm pretty sure that's beer related. There'll be something like the cleave and the nodule or something like that.
The nodule.
Yeah.
I like where you're going. I like how your brain's figuring this out. If I'm quite honest with you, that first you almost nailed it. First attempt with those 2.
The cleave and the nodule.
Yeah, because there's one word in here that sounds as made up as cleave, and nodule sounds like something that has an actual word that you will know.
So do you know what? I think that it's not because I completely don't know. I think I'm going to probably kick myself a little bit when I hear these words. The globule. What about the gloin?
Gloin?
No, I'm not going to get it. I don't know.
Try and use real words. What do you think? What
I don't know anything.
No made up words. No made up words. What do you think?
The I can only think of boat ones.
5,
the rim,
4,
the
3,
the norbs.
1. Okay. So we've had rim and norbs globules. None of these are
the hole,
parts of a cask.
The tap hole.
Okay, stop. You've had your chance.
Stop saying words.
You've had your chance now. Rich, do you want to? I'll offer this up to you.
Is there
got all 6 or
is there like the plug? Because you've got to plug a cask.
Oh, you're close. It's not plug, but there's a similar word.
Oh.
You were very close then.
Sink, tap hole.
But you get only 5 seconds because you've had all of Barbara's time, and then now you get to guess. 5, 4, 3.
Plug and ring. I don't know.
Plug and ring. Okay. The ring. Okay, you both are going to really kick yourself for this. Number 1 is cask. Cask is a cask.
Get off.
A cask is the component of a cask as well, right? So we've got that off the bat. So you could have got an easy one there. Second one, you guys were really close. Tap. I think you even said tap as one of your, part of something else, but you didn't explicitly say tap.
Yeah, when I was freaking out, yeah.
You have different types of pegs.
That's
part of a cask. There's a keystone. Travis, I thought maybe you might get that with Keystone Bar in Worcester. Maybe get that. I think that's what that's in reference to.
Maybe, yeah.
There's a sparkler, so not the fireworks type.
What's the sparkler? Is that
a part of a cask?
Which part?
Yeah, Barber. Yeah.
And then last one, because we've really got a long time on this question. And the last one, which is what I thought you were so close to actually, Barber, is a shive.
A shive, of course. Oh, how did I forget about the shive? Yeah, the cleave. I thought it was the cleave. But I was thinking about cleaving something in twain, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Throwing this off. It's still 2-0 to Barber. Rich.
Next correct answer wins.
If you want that one, yeah. I mean, it's
no. Keep rolling with it.
Okay, let's do that. You get 1 each, and then we'll just see. We'll go. I'll tell you what. This next one for Rich is worth 2 points because I'm going to give him a hard one. Okay?
Oh, goody! So I'm doing really well at the moment.
Yeah, Rich. What does ABV stand for?
Oh, fuggle. We spoke about this earlier. Alcohol by volume.
Yes!
Nah.
Gets it. Right.
I like that.
Okay.
He added a bit of jeopardy by pretending he didn't know that one.
I'm just building up suspense.
Okay, last in this question of this one. It's now we're neck and neck, two apiece on this one in my new taste.
I think it might be 2-1 in my favour, but go on.
No, that last one was worth 2, Barber.
The last one was worth 2 to bring it back to 2.
Outrageous. This is great material, guys, I must say.
2 apiece, neck and neck, fingers on buzzers. The first person to tell me another name for the bit of foam that clings to a glass. Go.
I've heard of that before.
No.
Dregs.
I just said that.
Oh, sorry. Flotsam. Or is it jetsam? That's the more boat stuff, isn't it?
Think like lightweight material.
Aluminium.
Foam. Foam. Air. Helium.
Gas.
Okay.
Plaster.
No. Bubbles. I like this. Keep going. You might get it.
Frothy goodness.
Land.
Something that might be part of a doily. What's another word for a doily?
Frills. I don't know. I don't have any doilies.
A thing that you put.
Coaster.
It's made of. It's a material that's made out of.
Silk.
Begins with an L.
Linen. Lint.
Lace.
Yeah, lace.
I don't think that Drab has got that in his own right. I'll be honest.
It's all right, Barb, because I'm now the beer expert still, holding my championship.
With the power of editing, we can make that seem like Rich really knew the answer.
Get out! No! It's not called lace. No, I'm not having it. That's
I'm just going to sip on my lace here.
fake news, folks.
Oh, so suffice to say, we are just starting off this. We have a lot more studying to do.
We'll be qualified any day now.
So we will keep you listeners posted on how we're getting on with this certification, but there's a lot more studying that needs to happen. Right, so on to the good stuff. Barbara, want to kick us off?
Yes, today, or right now, in our Pursuit of Hoppiness, we are drinking Carling. I myself am drinking Carling Original Lager, known as being brewed in Burton-on-Trent, but it didn't always start there. We've even had a bit of difficulty trying to figure out exactly where it's... Well, we knew, but there's been some repeated place names that's caused us a little bit of confusion. Could someone clarify this for me? Carling is in London, Ontario, right?
Yes.
That's correct.
And so is widely known as because I believe it's originally created by a Yorkshireman, Thomas Carling, I believe was his name. Thomas Carling may have created Carling, for want of a better word, but he didn't do it in the UK, which I think is a common misconception about Carling. It's actually across the pond in Canada. Am I right?
That is correct, yeah. Back in 1840, the Carling Brewery was founded in London, Ontario. And yes, actually, Carling that we know in the UK didn't arrive until 1952. So, we think of Carling as being this through and through English drink, but actually it's Canadian. We're drinking an exported beer right now.
Sorry. Or is it A? Well, sorry, what's that all about?
Boots, yeah.
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 Sorry, something like that. I knew something like that.
Yeah,
you just sounded like you were apologising.
Yeah.
Well, no, because I've always had this thing. I always hear that Canadians are supposedly the most wonderfully polite people you've ever met. I've only ever met a couple of Canadians, and to be honest, it was true from that limited experience.
Yeah, we can dive right down the Canadian stereotypes of love for hockey and maple syrup, but there's a lot more to the Canadian, world.
Those are two really great things, though.
Well, that is true. Very good.
Sorry, Canada. I didn't mean to tie you all with the same brush. In a nice way.
Some of you are horrible.
So Thomas,
So back to Carling.
so Thomas Carling, Mr. Carling, was a Yorkshireman. Well done on being horrible, some of you Canadians. Thomas Carling, he was a Yorkshireman. He went over to Canada, started brewing beer, and was doing it for over 100 years before we even started flogging it over here in the UK, right?
Yeah, because he started brewing it and he was selling it to soldiers in a local camp over in London, Ontario, in Canada. I'm going to have to keep saying that
okay.
just to define which London.
I mean, we need it because our default when you say London is to think London, UK, capital of the UK.
I'm sure we're not alone in that as well.
Yeah, I think so. That's very fair. Unless you're from London, Ontario, or the area close by, you're thinking, actually, no, I always think of London, Ontario as my go-to London reference. But yeah, that did. We had to have quite a long debate on I say debate. We had to unravel this story before the podcast because we were very, very confused with what we were reading. But yeah, Canadian beer came to the UK back in the 1952, and it became the UK's most popular beverage in the early 1980s, and it still is to this day. It is still the number one beer by popular volume in the UK. That's 30 plus years.
And they're now, I believe, they're a Molson Coors beer, right? So they're that's obviously going to help with the distribution. That's going to put it out a bit.
Yeah, that was since
that's correct.
2005, I think I read somewhere. They took over.
2005, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, to be honest, the thing is, we've seen that with a lot of the beers that we looked at recently, is also there was sort of in the last 30 years, so obviously 2005 is a little bit sooner than that, but that's where we've seen a little, I think the old business term is agglomeration, this sort of big companies sort of getting together, and then a little bit of gaining from economies of scale, a little bit from the size, but they've obviously been doing something to satisfy people for quite a long time to be in business for over 150 years before sort of getting to that stage, mustn't they?
So talking numbers wise, we say about how they're so very popular, and obviously part of the second largest beer company in the world being Molson Coors. In 2016, these are stats I've got for volume wise. They sold 7.9 billion pints in the UK alone.
Wow.
And that was a chunk of their 83.6 billion pints worldwide.
Blimey.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I find that especially interesting because obviously keen as I am to highlight myself as, just one of those trendy, cool, subversive individuals. If I may speak briefly about the liquid, I have found in doing our podcast and talking about lots of beer, I have always sought to be very positive and look for the good in every beer. Carling is not my cup of tea. I'm going to put it out there. I to be honest, if I wanted to find out what my granddad's bathwater tasted like, I don't think I would pay for the privilege of it. But the guys in Carling thought, we're gonna suss that out. They obviously got the finest minds in the world to suss out what that would taste like and put it in a can and provide it. It just doesn't especially strike a chord with me, Carling. I'm afraid to say.
Yeah, I think you'd probably share. I mean, it is the most popular beer in the UK by volume. We've talked about the billions of pints it sells every single year. So there's a huge chunk of people who love Carling or purchased Carling. But yeah, I think it's got an acquired taste in that market. And it's never been a go-to for myself. And we are talking specifically about the original lager. This is the one which you can get from most pubs and in supermarkets. They do also sell a premium lager, which I haven't tried. They have a apple cider and a black fruit cider as well. Not sure if you chaps have tried any of those either. But I would be intrigued, given that they have set themselves up with a premier lager, if there was any improvement on the original lager taste, maybe.
Yeah, so most of those haven't even sort of crossed my path, really, weirdly. So you'd have thought that they're well connected enough to again put them about. But sorry, Rich, I think you were saying something.
No, I was going to say, so I tried, because we've only just come around to recording this, so I've had the Carling in my fridge a little while, but before that I'd also brought the Carling Nitro. Have you guys tried that?
Nitro?
Never heard of it.
Yeah, so Carling Nitro, so it's brewed with a nitrogen widget in it, we've come across these before. So it's not as fizzy, but it's a bit smoother and less fizzy sort of thing. I actually really enjoyed it. And I actively tried to find it again for this recording because I drank all of the 4 cans that I'd bought previous because I liked it so much. So it's worth it. I recommend digging that one out if you can find it.
That speaks volumes, I suppose, doesn't it?
Now, I want to talk a bit more, moving on a little bit with obviously Carling through the ages. It's been around for hundreds of years, in the UK for since the 52s. But the latest design that's been on the packs, was done by a company called Brand Opus. And, they say with their redesign for Carling, it was to really play back into, they needed to deepen the brand's connection with consumers so as to cement and drive their position as the number one beer in the UK. So they took inspiration from the rich heritage and story. So, I mean, you can look at the Carling can now. It's, you can see this black bar. That is actually a nod back to, when it was referred to as Carling Black Label. Have you guys heard of Carling Black Label?
I have, yeah.
I have, yeah.
They made the transition from Carling Black Label in 1997. So it's been known as just Carling since then. But Black Label is still sold in both Canada and South Africa. And Carling Black Label is the number one sold beer in South Africa.
Number one, not just of the Carling products, you mean of all beers?
Of all beers.
Fair play.
So just to think about the Carling name, they've already got 2 huge markets of the UK and South Africa that they have products that are number one in.
Is it a similar lager is Black Label a similar lager to what we're drinking now?
I haven't tasted it, so I can't talk about the notes or anything like that. But when you're talking about ABV volume, I mean, the one that we're drinking is a 4%. The one in Canada is a 5%, and the one in South Africa is a 5.5% ABV. So again, I think they're just tailoring for, the market specifics. Carling for us that we know in the UK is a price-driven product. It is usually on offer. It is usually one of the cheapest lagers and beers that you can get yourself, which might lend itself to why it's very much a volume and mass product. So, that would lend itself as to why it's a 4% ABV. You're thinking price point, you're thinking kind of how people are drinking and enjoying this product, is usually paired with sporting events, usually where you're probably thinking more about drinking a few rather than drinking one, let's say.
Yeah, it's close ties to football. I think I say always has, at least in my mind, always has. There's close connection to football, isn't there? Yeah. So I as I said, I've always associated Carling with football, but I believe it was also just the official sponsor of the English Premier League. It's now called the English Premier League. It was just I believe the Premier League or the Premiership before. But going back from 1993 to 2001. So particularly for us chaps, that's sort of when we were younger, it would always have had that association with the football, wouldn't it?
Well, that's it. I mean, even like one of their designs back in the day had a huge lion on the front of it, very linked with English football, isn't it? The lions, 3 lions on the shirt. It was really leaning into that football homeland of the Carling drinker. I
can still see that. Yeah, the Premier League iconography of I think there's a lion with the foot on with one paw on a ball.
Yeah,
and wearing
one football.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I remember seeing the title like cards to sort of the Premiership, kind of like the match of the day or whatever it was like the line I think kicked to football or something like that as well. Like they animated the line in that way. So yeah, very very closely linking with football.
I was just going to say, that beer I talked about with the nitrogen widget in it earlier? I've just found the description here. It was called Carling Premier, and it was brewed by Carling for introduced to celebrate Carling's sponsorship of the FA Premier League in 1992. So it's been around and it keeps coming back. But have you guys ever heard of a cream flow lager?
Never heard of a cream flow lager.
Yeah, I think I have heard of that, and that's presumably what the nitro. That's what the nitro thing is, isn't it? Using the widget, yeah.
Yeah, which was just quite interesting. Just having a read there. But another great Carling fact is in 1927, Carling offered $25,000 prize for the first Canadian or British pilot to fly from London, Ontario to London, England, which is a big old flight back then. Yeah,
considering it was not long after basically the advent of aeronautics, right? that's a really long way to go.
And then you said, what was that prize pool, Rich, in 1927?
$25,000.
So $25,000 in 1927.
That's a king's ransom back then.
Has the value of $392 million in today's money.
Wow.
Blimey. Did anyone make it?
I think I know a bit of this story that didn't it end in tragedy?
Yeah, so they made it to Newfoundland on September the 7th. And then they headed off to London, England, and then 2 days later, they disappeared in fog and were never seen again. And that was Terence Tully and James Metcalf.
Oh, man.
Wow. Well, I mean, let's face it, back in 1927, aircraft was not, that's a huge feat in itself, but to go across the Atlantic Ocean.
What would you guys do for the $392 million these days?
You'd give it a go, wouldn't you? You'd give it a go.
I would get on my bike, I'd start flapping my wings and see what I could do. Interestingly, there has been a bit of an enduring relationship with football from Carling, and sort of bringing it back into 2021, or at least the last sort of year or so. Carling, I fair play. This is pretty good of them. So this is a really good campaign they've gotten involved in. Or sorry, they are working with the Campaign Against Living Miserably. Or you may know them as CALM. Really simple thing. They have just gotten in touch with a number of footballers, sort of current and former, as I'm aware. Stuart Pearce is on there, and as a big Nottingham Forest fan, I'm a big crush on Stuart Pearce. But there's just people who've they've gotten some of these guys together to just put together little bits of football, little bits of little videos. You can catch them all on YouTube. Just basically encouraging everyone, particularly in the last 18 months when things have been really tough, to look out for one another and just keep chins up and work together to maybe just get through what's a pretty tough time. So I think there's something fairly admirable in that. So hats off to that end.
So talking about numbers, on Instagram, Carling UK have 9k followers. Mm-hmm. And on Twitter, they have 35.1k followers.
It's interesting because that's not...
Yeah, that's not as much as I thought it would be.
That's not a lot for how much beer they're selling, ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just... This is not a lifestyle brand in that sense. Social medias and that platforms are usually... I mean, if you look at their social media, it's all geared towards football fans. It's all about, win promotions on their cans to get you into match day tickets. It's, get a golden can, you get a match day ticket, all this kind of stuff. It's all the imagery is guys, looking like they're all grouping together, like holding their heads as if someone's just missed a goal or something. Like it is very geared towards football.
I suppose as a hashtag, it's good, but it's not Carling is maybe a little bit too unwieldy. Because that's been their catchphrase from the adverts, I think, as well, hasn't it? It's good, but it's not Carling.
Yes, I do remember they did that.
Yeah. Or they also had the other one back in this was long ago, when it would be somebody doing some really impressive, so like some really big gymnastics feat, or get loads of bullseyes playing darts, and they'd be like, probably drinking Carling.
Yeah, it's got a lot of license to say things like that just because of the sheer volume of what's sold in the UK.
Yeah,
I think we tend to talk about those kind of things in a way of like think about quality of the product. And again, we're not like, it is a quality brew product. We're not saying there's anything wrong with the product. It's just taste palette wise, people have don't turn their nose up at Carling because of it being this original mass lager, and we've covered that in depth.
It's okay to agree to disagree sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. I just think if you don't like mass product, Carling is definitely not the one for you, or you're part of the majority of people in the UK specifically who drink this product. So, get yourself involved in a bit more, and hopefully we've imparted a bit more knowledge that this is actually a Canadian beer that's sold very well in the UK.
Every day's a school day.
And that's all we have time for this week's episode of the I'll Try That podcast. And so from me, Joe, Rich,
Barbara,
and Simo,
goodbye. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram,
Twitter,
I'll try that podcast.com,
and watch us on YouTube.
Goodbye now.